Hello, good afternoon, good morning, LinkedIn crowd. How are you doing? We're all very excited to be connecting with you today. Here on the call, we have four great speakers, although I'd like to say rather three great speakers, excluding myself. We shouldn't be always trumping our own horn. But we have here our new community manager, Jason Radford, who joined us recently, who some of you have already heard about, spoken to, and you're seeing him extremely active in the community. He's also leading this Astrato 360 monthly webinar. So excited to have you here. And other than that, today we're going to tell you a lot about the product. A lot of has evolved. We are moving extremely quickly. We have Piers Batchelor, Senior Product Manager, for our Snowpark and Astrato Insights niche. He's focused on ML and AI features and capabilities that he will tell us more about shortly. And of course, Liron Baram, also Senior Product Manager, focusing on self-service today. A lot has happened over the last couple of weeks and months. Progressed a lot with the product. We have onboarded a lot of customers, adopted customers in production. So I'll perhaps kick off today with a few features and updates and show you a couple of things that I'm personally very, very excited about. So perhaps I can start sharing my screen, if you allow me. So I've created actually a short slide, and the thing I want to show you today and talk about is about what we call the 4 intuitive ways to explore and filter data. Remember, Astrato is all about surfacing data in Snowflake to the business user and to the consumer so they can look at the data, see insights, and take actions on directly the same interface where they're analyzing the data. So a lot of you have seen, the greatness of Astrato, the pixel perfect UI that we have been developing, and everything on the screen is interactive. So one common way and standard way of how people and users typically analyze data is using filters. So on the left-hand side, you will see a standard filter bar that users can very, very easily drop down and then make selections in there. I would say this is the classic way of how anybody really on the web is exploring or using websites. And just to highlight that this is also a way that is explored in Astrato using so-called filter boxes. Those filter boxes can have one dimensional value. They can carry more than one, and allowing people to, interact with more than one field dimension directly within the same UI. But as you can see, so sorry, we have one little issue. Elisabetta, can you confirm you can see my screen?
We can see your screen, Martin.
Thank you, Jason. Sorry about that, about the break. So continuing, as you make selections within the UI, you see that at the top panel here, you have the filter bar. So the filter bar allows you to then quickly change the selections that you have made, so you don't have to always go back directly to the UI and apply them directly where you see them. You also have the ability to add new filters in here that are perhaps not visible in the UI that you can click in here. So this way you can keep your dashboard perhaps a little better organized, but without preventing the user to have full ability to explore the data. So the selection bar as well as individual filters, I would say, are a standard ways how typically business users would explore, slice and dice the data. So that is kind of like the first way of how people filter data. Now, the other one, as we're elevating the experience, is that actually I want to select the data directly where the visualization is. So if I see, for example, here a interesting point, such as reasons for customer loss, competitor made a better offer, maybe that's something I want to drill down to. So with Astrato, you also have the ability to select directly in the visualization. So the value is being selected, and now everything on the screen is being updated dynamically to reflect that particular selection. And you can do that by selecting one chart, but you can continue now your exploration, but not just looking at the competitors who've made a better offer, but to which customers who have been with us for more than 5 years. So as you see, you can narrow down your subset of data even further to get more intel on the data that you want to analyze. And vice versa, if you now want to see how what other churn reasons they are for the customers you've lost, you can now deselect it directly in the screen to then almost drill sideways to see better context on what other reasons there are for somebody who has been with us for over 5 years and has ultimately churned. So the drilling down and the ability to filtering are, I would say, now the two ways. The third one, where I'm actually extremely excited about, and that's where we're becoming innovative, is the brushing and linking. So brushing and linking gives you the ability to hover off any data point at any visualization and see slight indications how other dimensional values and other charts are being highlighted. So over here, you can see immediately the things updating. So if you now were to make selections, you can see Audi and Pontiac exactly where they are across the different kind of visualization representations. And that brushing and linking is actually extremely powerful and unique to Astrato, as we are passing on filters and selections across different kind of charts. So that kind of analysis is actually extremely compelling, because you not just select something that you're of interest, but you can see on how they are faring in comparison to the other dimensional values in the visualization. So brushing and linking is available by default within Astrato, not just on visualizations, but also on table rows if you wish so. Now, that's the third one, brushing and linking. We mentioned filtering, we mentioned drill down, now we have brushing and linking. The last item that I'm excited about is where you don't just want to select one individual point in the visualization, but you want to select a bucket here of 4 different dimensional values. Now you can, of course, select them one by one and do it manually. But one thing that is actually kind of intuitive is you want to geometrically select all of them and put them into a circle. So you can actually drag and circle and a lasso around it that then makes the selection for you. So you can now do also in-chart selections with Astrato, which is a much more intuitive way to select the point of insight that you want to analyze further. You can do that on the lasso. We also have the ability for you to select a range of different values on a particular line chart or a bar chart. So we're looking at more sophisticated, interesting, and very intuitive ways to make selections and filtering as you're exploring the data within a visualization itself. So that's the in-chart capability. I said I'm going to cover 4 of them. So maybe a tiny bonus point very, very shortly. How about actions? How can we program a set of selections or an individual selection for the user in a guided fashion? So you're going to get a 5th one, a bonus one, which is the use of actions. So you see here a very simple visualization. But what I want to do here now is I want to include a button, and whenever somebody clicks that button, I want them to select Australia. So just to make it clear, I'm including here select Australia. I'm perhaps giving that button a better background color, make it a bit branded, make it give it a contrast, give it perhaps bold. You see there are a lot of customization options in Astrato, which is one of our key themes here as well. And now, whenever somebody clicks on Australia, I want to make sure I'm not triggering an action. Action are sequences of different kind of elements, such as navigation, filtering data, variables, executing SQL, including also conditional and operating elements to this that allow you to improve or define a very specific guided analytics experience. So if I'm now clicking on a button, I want to filter the data. So I use here apply filter sections. So within the view in the territory, I want to choose a dimension country, and I want to set this to Australia. Actually, not just Australia, maybe also Germany, because sometimes the selections are much more complex than standard. So here we go. This has now been set. I can close it. It gets stored. To execute it, I need to go quickly into preview mode. So now when an end user is using the dashboard, you have the ability to define buttons that trigger a preset of selection. So if I click on select Australia, you will see I've selected two values country, not just Australia, and Germany. I defined more than one value, but you see you can now start building a more guided analytics experience that perhaps is more intuitive to the user. So 4 ways plus 1 ways to explore, filter, and analyze data. But before I hand over, one thing that we released in January, what I'm really, really excited about, is the custom report. So the dashboards are great, but typically when it comes to an analytical journey, they're the beginning of a question. I see something here of interest that I want to analyze a bit deeper, but I have a further question. And now perhaps I have the ability to answer that question with the data that I see here, but very often the answer lies in an additional data set that I cannot see in this particular view. So what do end users do? They come and they ask for additional to export the data to Excel. So this is a sales dashboard overview where we're looking at our pipeline with Astrato. We're seeing how we're doing, and we're seeing how it's evolving over the year. But perhaps I love the analysis and the depth of the analysis, but sometimes I want to see the data in a particular view that is not available here. So I have two options. Either I go to my BI expert who sits in a different team, or typically I'm asking my dashboard creator to allow me to export the data to Excel. But really what I'm doing in Excel is I'm creating an Excel pivot. So how about if I had the ability to answer my own question self-service within Astrato ourselves? So this is now where we've introduced the custom report. Custom report is a set of dimensions and measures that allows me as a user to start building my report on the fly, literally as if I'm going and shopping the data in Walmart or in Tesco's here in the UK, to build my own personalized custom report that I can not just organize, rearrange, drill down to by selecting a couple of filters. So it's fully interactive, but I have also the ability at any point in time to then save it and then export it to Excel to then analyze the data, send it further, or do whatever I want further with that. So custom report is available for everybody who has an Astrato account. It's extremely easy to set up. It's available as part of the visuals here. You drag and drop it into the screen. You see here, it immediately is loading. It's loading up all your dimensions and measures from your data view as well automatically. So you literally can get started and give your users a nice little sandbox to start building their own reports in a true self-service fashion. So, but what is true self-service? This is where I have my colleague Liron and I in the office, and we constantly debate. Self-service is something completely different. Self-service, the ability to build an entire workbook on their own. Self-service is the ability to connect to data, select the right data I want to analyze from the database itself and bring it up. Maybe we can have Liron here, Elizabeth, to join us to maybe add some more context to that conversation. So what is self-service, Liron?
Yeah, self-service is everything, but we want to give people all the amazing example you showed are still putting the users in a sandbox, in a confined world. And we want to give them access to the bigger world, to allow them easily to actually select the data they are going to explore and to basically be able to answer any business question, not be confined to some set of data that someone have created for them. And for that, I'm very happy that to show the new data view that we just released in our latest release that allows users interactively and very intuitively to build their actual data world that they want to analyze. Elizabeth, if you can share my screen. Thank you. So as a user, instead of being confined to something that someone selected for me, all I need or I got from is connection to our production environment. But I want to create my own world to analyze and explore data. So I create a new data view, which is a kind of our approach to a semantic layer. I immediately can see all the tables arranged for me in different groups by our data team. And I want to answer a question about our sales. So I can see the tables that I have here. I can get a list of the fields, and I realize that I need all the tables. So all I need to do is I just check the box. I selected, as you can see, all the tables. And here is the nice thing. Now I'm going to, my next step is to define the world, the relation between my tables, and start building assets that other users will be able to use inside my sandbox. All the amazing example that Martin shows, but the nice thing that you are going to see, it's everything is created on a completely no-code environment. So I have my tables. I can either connect them manually, but maybe I'm not sure how I should connect the table. Astrato is here to help you. Using our engine, we create a list of suggested joins for you, how you should connect your table. And so, but I have some previous knowledge, so I can easily create it manually. And you can even see that it already knows that I use one of the suggestions manually. Let's apply all other joins and see what happens. So now the magic happened. Not just that we connected all the table, we also arranged them in a very easy to read manner for user. But what if I have more than a table? I have 20 or 40. Then with the new look, you can decide that you only want to focus on what is important in your schema. It might be, I only want to see the fields that take part in connecting the tables. Or even, I only want to see the table's name because this is the best way for me, and I can rearrange it for me. And if needed, I can save my new arrangement and use it in a different later. So if I have a lot of tables. But let's go back to our auto-suggested layout. Another important and nice things, I can get information about how the tables are joined. So, and this is something quite unique, and it's already giving you some information. So I know that my sales and product tables are connected. They are connected using my product key. But the interesting information I get is how many products are there in our table? Close to 400. But only 158 are actually appearing in our fact or have any activity in sales. So actually, even now, I already got my first insight, which is more than half of our product doesn't sell at all. And I didn't even need to ask this question, right? But my next thing, I want to start build some assets because the data view is both for exploring data, but also to create those assets that the user will be able to use in the custom report or in the workbook later. So I can very easily create some new dimension. You can see they are added here, and they are going to be available to the users in the workbook. Another important thing I can do here is that I know that I need a year field, but I see that I only have a date field. So with Astrato now, we allow you to create custom field, basically to add columns. You don't need to go to anyone and ask for a new column in your table. We just add this calculated column for you. I wanted a year field. I only get to select out of my date field, and I have my year field that I will be able to use. Actually, if I want a preview, I can go to preview my data and have a look at the end. And I can see that, yes, I got the expected result. So I'm quite happy with what I have, but first thing I want to do is I actually want to see some data to understand that the data is right. And here comes the Data Explorer. The Data Explorer allows you to query your data, everything, all the fields you have added to your data. So let's start with a simple question. I want to see my sales by genders, country, and let's add. So I can easily create measures, dimensions, and I can see myself. Now I realize that actually I want to, for example, I have this and I want to save it to further use it in my workbook. I can easily take this, format it, and give it a much more friendly name. Let's call it revenue, and save it. And yeah, sorry for that. And yeah. And another important thing that we allows you in the Data Explorer that I can do in the Data Explorer, I can actually also start answering some interesting data question. For example, I want to know the categories for each country, the categories that sold to females above $1 million. So I can filter either dimension. I can filter and say, okay, I want to see above $1 million, and I can apply my filter, and I can get my list. And the nice thing is that basically I can always see the query I generated. So you can see here a query that is quite complicated, combining 5 fields, putting some filters, everything, and I didn't have to type anything, right? Everything was created by low code. So the data view come to serve several things. One, enable users a self-service on a much wider world where they can explore a bigger set of data. But also the other purpose of the data view is to serve us to create assets that will be used in the workbook for the user that for their confidence want to be inside a sandbox. So the main thing in Astrato is, yes, self-service is everything from what Martin shows earlier to users actually coming to the database, selecting the data, connecting, and starting interacting with the data, either for themselves or creating the data layer and for others to use. Each data view can serve as many workbooks as needed. And this is a nice addition that Astrato gives you against other places where you can create one data layer, semantic layer with all the definition, and then multiple users, each one of them can create his own custom report, his own set of dashboards, but all are served with one central place where you can update everything. But self-service is not everything we do in Astrato. There are even other capabilities that we want to explore and give you option to do. And those are how you can enhance Astrato, give it a boost by using advanced analytics and Snowpark. And for this, I think there is no better person to show you how you can do it than our own Piers Batchelor, which is actually a Snowflake data superhero. Piers.
Thanks, Liron. That was great. I loved using the new data view editor. Makes modeling look so easy. Everyone's going to feel like an expert now. So I'm here to talk about Snowpark. And I've got this diagram on screen. It should look very familiar to some of you. It's one of Snowflake's diagrams with Astrato on top, because that's how we work. We're on top of Snowflake. World-class dashboarding, native write back, advanced analytics, AI/ML. So that's what I'm going to show you. Before I do that, here's a little bit on how it works. So when it comes to working with Snowpark, we're using writeback and we're using variables. It inputs into a SQL select statement in Snowflake. Here it is. So I have my Snowpark function here. It's Piers _ sales volume calculator, and I'm inputting sale price, fixed cost, cost per unit. Nice and simple. And then the output goes into Astrato, into a visualization. It couldn't be easier. So without further ado, let's go straight into looking at house prices in Seattle. So we can predict house prices based on previous data stored in our model, which has been trained. It can be trained outside and then uploaded into Snowflake for use in Snowpark for Python. I'm going to, let's pick 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, an odd one, 3,000 square feet, and 98199 as the zip code. So that prediction is going to run. Hopefully that's part of the model, and we know that that predicted price is $1.8 million in Seattle, and my gosh, that's expensive. I don't live in a $1.8 million house. And we can see the similar properties here. So this was actually built by, not by me for a change, this is built by Elizabeth in our industry solutions team. So it's very, very interesting stuff. It does get a little bit simpler than that. You don't always need to rely on models. So I have another example as well. So we have a beautiful dashboard. We want to get an understanding of which products that we should be adding to our Amazon seller store. So for me, Snowpark means no more throwaway Python notebooks. I can reuse different models, or in this case, a calculator, which calculates for me the cost of taking on a new product for my Amazon seller store. So the costs there could be manufacturing or sales and marketing, whatever suits you. So I have some products that I added earlier, and let's click and add a product now. So new product name, I'm actually going to take this product, take the image from there, and that is called Prime Hydration Tropical Punch. So that's beverages. And what we're going to achieve is understanding how much we need to sell to break even. So the cost per unit is, let's say it's going to cost us $7.50. The fixed costs, so sales and marketing, shipping, sale price is, I think it was $9.99. I'm not going to do the pounds dollars conversion. Let's add that here. So I've added that in. There it is. My image is in the table, a whole new row of data. And I need to, so based on the sale price of $9.99, cost per unit $7.50, fixed cost $2,000, I need to sell 1,000 of these to make a profit. So in the UK, we actually had a lot of people itching to get their hands on this, and these things can really help if you're looking to buy and sell different products. So just one way to use something so simple in Python, get it working in Snowpark. So I've got that formula here, but you're thinking, okay, right, I have to calculate something. I have to understand Python. It does get a little bit easier than that. So there is this tool which is created by our very own Snowflake data superhero, me, and it's built using Streamlit. Here it is. And what I'll do, bear with me, I've added that in the chat on LinkedIn, so you can see it for yourselves. It's the link to the Medium blog post. So this tool, it's built using Streamlit, which is a product from Snowflake, and it's also using OpenAI. So they are the makers of ChatGPT. And if I want to go here, I can generate some custom tasks, not just the ones that are there out of the box in the drop down. What was it that I searched for earlier? Okay, so calculator for volume sold to make profit, inputs for costs, etc. Let's go over here. Let's see what it produces. Generate the code. So this is 2 demos in one. So there's my code. That's the function. That's pretty much the same one that I actually wrote by hand. And I can copy and paste that, copy to clipboard, and I can run that in Snowflake. And it's going to create that nice and easily for me. And if I go back to the diagram, you'll see here, those are my inputs. That could be write back values, it could be variables. It's time to get creative with Snowpark. And I said 2 demos in one. I need to deliver to that promise. 107 code generations, so I know exactly how many times this has been used since sharing it on Medium. A nice sneaky demo of Astrato embeds there. So you can read more about that here. That link is in the chat, so do take a look. Martin has actually challenged me to find someone who is more excited than me about working with Snowpark, so there's no reason not to try it. Do generate some code with AI, let me know how it goes, and reach out to me on LinkedIn if you run into any issues. And before I go, I have one more thing to show you. Now, I'm actually going to be sneaky and show the same as what Martin showed. So let us know in the comments which demo is more exciting. So let's go over to Astrato Insights. So this is coming soon. It's not out yet. It's just me that has this. So we have chance to compare fuel efficiency, higher is better, fuel efficiency across different car manufacturers, car brands. So we've got regular passenger cars, larger cars, straightforward. So what I'll do here is, let's just get insights for one of them now. Oh, let me refresh. Okay, I'm going to try that over here. Okay, bear with me. Here we go. That would be a shame. He might need to come back to me. Let's give it one more go. Okay. We'll come back to me. We'll go over to Jason now, and I promise I'll be able to show you something. Always a classic thing of a live demo.
Thank you, Piers. Good luck with that in the background. Thank you for that intro. And Martin, thank you for the warm welcome at the start. So yes, I am Jason, the new member of the marketing team, community manager, and I am going to show you all the great things that we've been up to since the last time we spoke to you at the tail end of last year. So as you can see here, we have been absolutely jam-packed with activity. If you've been on the community, if you've been on Galaxy, you've seen our awesome Astronaut of the Month post, Mr. Pluki. I do suggest you check it out, especially for the last part of that interview. She shares with us her favorite random fact, and it is a pretty awesome fact at that. We also had a fantastic webinar beginning of this month with our friends over at Pomerol. That was again with our very own Piers Batchelor. This chap is everywhere and he does love everything Astrato, and it was a fantastic hands-on lab, so do check that out as well. Whether you're a top-end Astrato user or if you're looking to get your start, that is a really good webinar. As always, we had our Good Viz challenge, some absolutely fantastic submissions this time around. You can see our winning entry there, and stay tuned for the next coming weeks. We will be announcing our next one, so get ready for that. Also upcoming, we are literally globetrotting over the next couple of weeks and months. You can see us at the likes of Gartner in Orlando, Skid in Switzerland, and the HIMSS in Chicago, and also again, another bit of a sneak preview. So tacking on to Piers' idea there, we have a whole range of meetups planned in the next coming weeks and months. So really do stay tuned for that. In regards to that as well, there is also a survey on Galaxy. So feel free to fill it in. Let us know where exactly you'd like to meet us in person, the things you'd like to see, all that good stuff, and really give us some feedback. And that way, when we do have the meetups, you can really see exactly what it is that you want to see. I think I will leave it there for my update, because I do realize we are running out of time slightly, and I want to get to all the great questions from everybody on the call and the community. So I think if we go back to the roundup, and we can start jumping into some of the questions and the queries we've seen, and then we can go from there.
Cool. Thank you for that. So I have a video ready. Yep, live demos of the Spice of Life. Thank you, Joe. So we are actively working on it, as you can see. What I've got here, Astrato Insights. Click on the Insight button, and we can see all various insights, trends being highlighted, and it's bringing in external data as well. So it knows which neighborhoods for the Airbnb listings are more expensive. It knows what's popular in that area, and we can even get recommendations for those. So it says offering best value for money, potential for higher returns, monitor outliers in the area. So we can then suggest actions on data, and if I go back just a few seconds, you'll see one of the options in there was to compare. So we'll be able to compare different visualizations. There's no need to do any more manual data analysis. That's increased productivity, accuracy, efficiency, all within data analysis, no longer manual. Hassle-free, and it will be on all visualizations, all in just one click. So that includes trends, anomaly detection, forecasting, recommendations, causality analysis, and all of that's accessible to all users, regardless of their data skills. So data literacy is no longer a blocker. And if you're talking Snowpark, you don't need to have the skills gap either. Everything just got easier with Astrato. Right, back to Jason, I think. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. That was a great demo. That were great sessions. Thank you, everybody, for contributing, everybody for participating in show and asking questions and leaving some comments, either existing Vizlibers, old Vizlibers. So Joe Warrington somewhere there in the crowd. He's the biggest fan. Other than that, I'll try to go through, or maybe you guys can help me as well, some of the comments. I think one of the comments that I saw that I found actually quite exciting, Liron, is the data view editor, the semantic layer that you just called it. Is it a semantic layer? Is that a feature? Actually, I think it is, and I think we're quite good at it. Can it be shared? Can others use it? Can it be used outside of Astrato? What is your answer to that, and perhaps also vision where this could potentially evolve?
So for now, you will need to enjoy the great workbooks of Astrato to consume everything you define in this semantic layer data view. But we have plans in our roadmap, maybe to expose it to other things. Maybe for the Snowflake Bear, we'll start with that. Yeah.
All righty. Piers, I obviously am a huge fan of the advanced analytics examples and use cases that you've showcased, and how it can nicely blend with the power of Snowpark. Now, in the example that you showed around calculating the break-even point in terms of volume, right? It seems though like a simple expression, right? Does it have to be via Snowpark and Python, or can you also achieve it in the data view editor with an expression? Liron, Piers, what do you think?
Oh, interesting question. So I wanted to show something super easy so that everyone on the call had an appreciation for exactly what was going on. And of course you can do that in the data view editor. It's advanced enough to do that there. And also it's not too complex as well. It's so easy to do. I could probably demo it in a minute, but I don't have it open, so I'll pass on that opportunity.
Super wonderful. All right. So I think we're running a little bit out of time. Looking at the comments, I don't think there's anything in particular. I have a little Herb Hess who would love to take you up on the Snowpark challenge. So Herb, please do reach out to Piers and see how you can build a Snowpark model that can be surfaced to a business user via a dashboard. Other than that, more exciting things are coming, and please stay tuned. Follow us on social media, where we'll be posting more and more feature updates, exciting new directions that we're taking. Inside Advisor, if anybody of you wants to test it, please raise your hands. We can feature flag, make it available on your channel. Piers will be more than happy to get some testers. And I think, Piers, you have somebody there who wants to say goodbye alongside. Huge fans of Snowflake. Thank you, everybody, very much for attending, and see you around. Ping us, and other than that, try us out and explore with us. Let's build the future of BI. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Ciao. Bye-bye.